Hi, and welcome to Session 5 of our 5-Minute Bible Guides. In Sessions 3 and 4, we looked at the canon, the official list of books in the Bible. We learned that there are several official canons depending upon which branch of Christianity you're thinking about. And we learned that the Jews share the same books in their scriptures that Protestants have in their Old Testament. We also learned that the early church had very clear and very considered guidelines for what books they included in the New Testament. Their goal was to make sure that the original message of Jesus and the apostles remained pure and undiluted for the generations to come. So with that head start, we can look at another important issue relating to how we got the Bibles that we use today. We'll look at the line of manuscript descent. In other words, how did we get from the original writings of the Old and New Testaments to the various Bible versions that people use now? So I need to make it clear that in this session, I will be focusing on how we got the modern English translations of the Bible. However, the same basic idea can be applied to any modern Bible translation, whether it's French, Spanish, Russian, or Chinese. So let's begin with the original documents of the Old and New Testaments. We can use a couple of examples to make the point: the Old Testament book of Jeremiah and the book of Romans in the New Testament. Okay, let's take Jeremiah. Jeremiah wrote his prophecy sometime around 625 BC. He wrote the prophecy in Hebrew, which is the language of most of the other Old Testament books, though some of the later ones were composed in the related language of Aramaic. Romans was written by the Apostle Paul in Greek sometime around 55 or 56 AD. Now, the ancient original documents of these books no longer exist as far as anyone knows. They probably disintegrated into dust centuries ago. However, accurate copies were made of these books to preserve the message and to distribute to groups of believers. Some of those copies still exist. Examples would be the Dead Sea Scrolls, which has a copy of Jeremiah, and we also have very ancient copies of other Old Testament books as well. As far as Romans is concerned, we have dozens of fairly early manuscripts in various museums and church collections. There are a total of around 5,000 early Greek manuscript portions of the 27 New Testament books. And some of them are small fragments, little pieces of a book. Others are complete or nearly complete collections of all the books. So using the example of books like Romans, for example, the Greek manuscript experts can compare the early copies of Romans and construct a standard text to be used as the basis for translation into modern languages. The same is true for Old Testament books like Jeremiah. The ancient manuscript copies are compared and a standard Hebrew text is developed for translation. Once a standard text is available, a team of translators can be assembled who are expert in both the original languages and also into the language that they're translating into, such as English. This team can then begin to work to translate the original documents into English or Spanish or any other contemporary language. The translation team will include people whose specialty is on the contemporary language side of the translation. For example, English composition experts will be included on a translation team to ensure that the final result is smooth, easily understood English, rather than some kind of rough translation that may be accurate but hard for the average reader to make sense of. So for modern English speakers to read the books of the Bible, the Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek copies of the original documents have to be accurately understood and then translated into an English that is both accessible and accurate. In the next session, we'll be examining some of the issues that go into making a readable translation of the Bible. This is Dr. Michael Bogart for the 5-Minute Guides to the Bible.